This is Conscious Coffee, where you always have a seat at the table. Hello to every single beautiful soul that is listening today. I'm your host, Stephanie, and welcome to Conscious Coffee. I want to start this episode with taking a moment to just take a collective sip of coffee or whatever your drink of choice is right now, but to just take a sip together, to just pause, have a moment of silence for those that are suffering, for those that are being brutalized, for those who don't feel safe in this world anymore. I want to take a moment and just have a moment of unity and take a sip together. Thank you for joining in with that. So right now, people are pretty scared. People are angry, and the world is divided. Videos of violence, protests, and conflict are pretty much everywhere. But underneath all of it is something much deeper. And there are humans trying to protect other human beings. And when you strip away the politics, the labels, and the borders, this is about compassion, empathy, and standing together. The world keeps telling us to pick a side, left or right, citizen or immigrant, us or them. But humanity is not a political party. And I want to say this again. Humanity is not a political party. When someone sees another person being harmed and steps in, that's not ideology. That is instinctive human empathy. And that is because, as humans, we are not wired for division. We are wired for connection and community. The truth we forget is that every single one of us came from somewhere. Borders are lines humans drew on maps, not lines written in our DNA. Under the skin, no matter what color it is, we share the same biology, the same blood, the same fear, the same love for our families and our people. We are one species, we are one race, and that is the human race. Division is being amplified, and that's because fear spreads faster than compassion. Anger gets more clicks than empathy. And I have seen that on my own channel. I posted a video on TikTok that was me expressing great anger for what was happening in this country. And I tell you, that got about 700, 800 and something views. And in the same breath, I could post something that is about going out and standing in your truth and being kind and loving and compassionate. And that is the one that gets about 100 and 200 views. I'm grateful for all of the views, and that means the message is getting out there. Views are not the point of this, okay? The anger spreads so much more quickly and grasps people's attention so much more quickly than being empathetic, kind, and compassionate. Systems of power have always thrived when people fight each other instead of asking deeper questions. When we hate each other, we stop protecting each other. And that pulls us further and further away from our own true inner divinity. Yes, there is violence, but there are also people standing up for strangers. People risking their safety, being pepper sprayed, maced, taken to the ground, and beaten because they refuse to let cruelty become normal. And that is the proof that humanity is not dead and that it's waking up. In that video I saw, there were probably 100 people, if not more, standing together in front of a house, keeping ICE away from them. And they were ready. They had goggles on, they had masks on, they had umbrellas, pointed at ICE, trying to keep themselves protected because of the brutal force that they have been using against American citizens. Here's a good representation of the duality that our world has, right? For every brutal, unhumane act, there are 10 more acts of kindness and love and unity. But every time I see something like this, I ask myself, how did we get here? How did we stray so far from our inner divinity and our inner love and light, so far away from the truth? Because as these terrible things continue, more and more truths come out that our government has been lying to us. I mean, with our food being poisoned, our separation of, religions and separation of races, and it all came from somewhere. It didn't come from us. It came from the people that have actively been trying to lie to us, to divide us, and to keep us small. Because the scariest thing to our government and the lower vibrational people is us waking up to our truth, to our personal power. So they keep doing what they can to separate us. But right now, we are in the middle of the Great Awakening of human consciousness. And I don't believe that that can be stopped. Moving forward, we all have to choose humanity. We have to choose each other. It doesn't matter what you supported before. It doesn't matter who you voted for. It doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are. You've never gone too far off track to come back home to yourselves and to come back home to humanity, connection, and love. And it's sad to say that most of us don't even know what our actual truth is. Because we have been sheep. We have listened to everything that they have fed us. We have just gone with the masses and jumped on the bandwagon without taking a single second to question the quote-unquote truths that have been presented to us. Not that I blame everyone, because we've been conditioned and they've done such a good job. But now it's time. It's time to really stop and focus and go within and question everything right now. We have to question every single thing that is being put in front of us. And we have to decide. Are we contributing to the division, or are we helping to heal it? From a spiritual perspective, every spiritual tradition teaches the same core truth, or at least it should. To love your neighbor, to protect the vulnerable, and treat others as you would yourself. But that last one is where a really big problem lies, because we have been taught to shame ourselves and to hate ourselves. So the only result that could come from that is to inevitably end up hating others and shaming others and being hard on each other, just like we are to ourselves. As above, so below. As within, so without. That is a truth that I have experienced, and I have seen that reflected in my own life time and time again. Every time I chose to hate myself, I saw a more hateful world. Every time I chose love, compassion, and empathy, I saw the rest of the world showing up that way too. Our focus matters. What energy we give to these things matter. So it boils down to choices every single day. And being mindful, is this choice I'm making rooted in love and truth? Or is this choice I am making rooted in hate and false belief? If we truly lived the teachings of loving your neighbor, protecting the vulnerable, and treating others as you would yourself, and we did that from a place of self-love, most of these conflicts would eventually disappear. And that doesn't mean overnight, but all it takes is a little shift in perspective and to see the human in others and to really put ourselves in each other's shoes. Because, guys, can you imagine being scared to take your children to school? Being terrified that once you do drop your child off at school, that it might be the last time you saw them because someone in a position of power has deemed you unworthy of safety and freedom and refuge. They turn us against immigrants by saying that they are taking our money and that our tax dollars are going to them. When in reality, our tax dollars go to building million-dollar ballrooms in a White House, to funding wars, and into the rich, into their bank accounts, and into their pockets. Because none of them are struggling with health care. None of them are struggling to put food on the table while they're driving around their fancy Teslas and their million-dollar homes. None of them are struggling. And matter of fact, if you do a little digging and look for the truth yourself, they are not being taxed like we are. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That is the world that we live in today. And each and every one of us have single-handedly contributed to this. But again, I say, it does not matter how far off track we have gone. What matters now is that we know better, so now we must do better. Compassion really takes courage in such a divided world. And it's really easy to hate from behind a screen. And yeah, sometimes it is harder, but definitely more powerful to choose empathy. But we have to decide. And to make those decisions each and every moment, it starts with being mindful. Which means turn off the TV. Stop putting the poisonous alcohol and substances and poisonous foods into your body so that you can be clear-headed. Meditate. Take the time to connect with your higher self, with your inner divinity. Talk to God, whatever God it is that you believe in. And I am here to tell you and to emphasize that if you are speaking to your God and an answer that you get back is rooted in hate or fear, it is not God. That is your conditioning speaking. It is the powers that be, like the government, speaking. Again, it is not God or source, whatever you want to call it. Because listen, you guys, the world is not going to change all at once. Just like we didn't get here overnight. This is the result of centuries of division and power, money, and brutality being at the forefront instead of love, compassion, and empathy. But we have more control over this than what we think and what we realize. And yes, the ball is already rolling in this direction, and we are now at war. But the pebble in the lake theory, when you throw that tiny pebble in the lake and the ripple effect that it has is incredible. And that's what choosing the small acts of kindness instead of hate, like someone standing up for a stranger, someone choosing understanding over judgment, pausing when you see that homeless man on the side of the street, and instead of judging him, wondering, man, I wonder how difficult his life must be and must have been, or how hopeless he must have felt or feels to be in the position that he is in right now. Someone choosing to refuse to dehumanize another person. The healing of this world starts when we remember a simple truth: that there is only one race, and that is the human race. And every single one of us belongs to it. And if your beliefs require you to stop seeing someone as a human, it might be time to question those beliefs. Ask yourself, what is the original source of this claim? Are there multiple independent sources confirming it? Could this video or news or quote be edited or changed and taken out of context? A fact is verifiable. A narrative is the story built around that fact. Different groups can take the same fact and tell completely different stories about what it means. In the last episode, I had mentioned the beach ball theory, right? Someone standing on one side of the beach ball and sees blue and red. And a different person could be staring at the same beach ball and say, well, I see green and yellow. Who's right? Both. Who's wrong? Neither. They're staring at the same beach ball, but with different perspectives. Real truth seekers question everything. And when we're trying to understand a complex issue, remember that real people are involved. Their freedom, their lives, their safety, their children. All we have to do is at least just start with avoiding dehumanizing languages or skin colors or treating individuals as symbols of a larger conflict. We must hold compassion and start critically thinking together. Because truly the only way forward is together, you guys. And in a world full of noise, finding truth is not about being the loudest voice. It's about being the most honest, authentic, empathetic, and compassionate. And leading with our hearts instead of fear. So please hear me when I tell you this, okay? The future of humanity is not decided by governments, borders, or headlines. It is decided in the small moments by ordinary people just like you and I. Moments where you choose compassion instead of cruelty. Moments where you question what you're told instead of blindly repeating it. Moments where you refuse to see another human being as disposable. Division only works if we participate in it. It works when we dehumanize each other. It works when we stop caring about people outside of our own circle and community. It works when we forget that the person on the other side of the argument, politics, religion, whatever it may be, the other side of the border, is still a human being, just like you and just like me. So I want to leave this episode with this. This is a call to action for each and every single one of you. Be brave enough to stay human. Protect people who are vulnerable. Speak up when cruelty becomes normalized. Question everything that tries to convince you that some lives matter less than others. And most importantly, do not let this world harden you. Because love, empathy, and compassion are not weaknesses. They're the most powerful forces that we have. And if enough of us choose them, not just in words, but in action, then maybe the story of this time won't be about division. Maybe it will be about the moment that humanity remembered who we really are and chose to rise together, to come together in truth, love, kindness, and justice. I love you all so very much, so very deeply, with all of my heart, and I don't even know you. Please go out there and do the same. Have a great day, and be well.